Welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HA Network. Frank Granito in studio today with Kevin Coleman. It is Monday, June 26th, final week of the month. Kev, how was your weekend?
It was good, Frank. We ended up having some great weather. Of course, right down the road was the Travelers Championship in Caldwell, Connecticut. So it ended up being a perfect day, too. Yesterday, that final round, it was gorgeous weather and perfect weather here for not only golf, but for other sports as well around the county.
We've got a lot of youth baseball going on right now, Legion as well. Some teams starting to thrive as we get closer and closer from district tournaments to states and regionals as well around the area. You mentioned the Travelers. That's where I want to start. With a new PGA rule in effect, this year's Traveler field was as loaded as we have ever seen. And for more on that field and what the atmosphere was like, let's bring in our director, Mike Suppy. Mike, you were up there on Saturday. I mean, from everything we're reading and what we saw, it looked like one of the more ambitious things we've had in Connecticut in a while.
Yeah, it was a great atmosphere. I mean, I went as a civilian. I wasn't there in official capacity, so I was able to mix it up with the crowd a little more than I normally would if I was there on, company matters and covering it like, the sports that we cover. But, the galleries were great. It was great golf. It was cool atmosphere. It was, often get to see players of that caliber around here, and hopefully the Travelers tournament can get these guys to commit to come back in the future. I know Rory McIlroy said following his tournament that he enjoyed it and would I think he said he would most likely probably come back, but hopefully these guys didn't come just because they were forced to come with that rule. And they came because they enjoyed playing, a really nice course in front of a raucous crowd.
And that new rule, it states that if you're playing underneath 25 events in a calendar year, you have to attend each tournament at least once in a 4-year span. So this was the cutoff for a lot of these players. And the Travelers is often overlooked, Kevin, because it's sandwiched right after the U.S. Open, and it almost messes up your timing getting ready for the British. So not as many players have appreciated it in the past. Obviously, Bubba Watson is one of the biggest names and a multiple-time winner, but now Jordan Spieth, I think, might be hooked. And you saw the crowds that were following him yesterday. There has never been anything in Travelers history close to the galleries that were walking with Spieth on that final round.
When you looked at the hole in 18 when he made that chip shot from the sand, and you saw how raucous that crowd was. I mean, it was, even Jordan Spieth said after, when he was done, when he was in the press conference, he said he could feel the ground shake. So when you hit a shot like that and you get the fans going, again, that just shows how great of a crowd that is, and that just motivates other players here in this pool that they want to come back again next year, even if it's after the U.S. Open, even if it's right before the British Open. They want to come back because of these great fans.
So you had it now. Jordan Spieth, who was the number 6 player in the world entering into the tournament. He's now moved up to 3 after winning. Went to the 18th hole. He was tied with Daniel Berger, who was in the clubhouse at -12. Spieth leaves a shot from 130 yards short into a greenside bunker, is able to get up and down, save par, and forces the playoff. Errant tee shot from Berger goes left into the gallery. Spieth's tee shot was one of the worst tee shots we've seen on tour this year. A very fortunate bounce. It gets through the tree off on the left side of the tee box. It finds its way into the fairway. He is 225 out, leaves another shot short in that bunker, and that was as good a bunker shot as you're ever going to see. So pure, you almost knew right away when he hit it went in. The place erupted. It was very cool. It was a great way to see the weekend, and obviously that is a marquee name in golf right now, number 3 in the world, a fan favorite with 2 majors to his name. This was his 10th title before the age of 24. So I think that did a lot of good as well for the tournament, having a player like Spieth win, Kevin.
And I think it was big for Jordan, too. He needed a bounce-back win like this. And, even before, when he got stuck in that sand trap, Justin Thomas tweeted out, "Watch this, he's going to make it." And sure enough, he made it. He tweeted back out, "See, I told you so." So it is cool to see. And, Justin Thomas, again, a great golfer as well, and great buddies with Jordan, so it's good to see that guys have faith in him, and Jordan has that talent where he can make tough shots like that. And Suppy, I got to ask you, when he made that shot, I mean, did you feel the ground shake? Because that's what Jordan said when he was on the 18th.
Well, I mean, I was there on Saturday, and he almost holed out from the bunker on 15 where I was set up watching, and the crowd was pretty crazy for an almost hole in, and to actually see that, I mean, Joe Morelli from New Haven Register was tweeting that, the crowds were 10 to 15 deep watching Spieth play. I mean, there was a lot of people that had a lot invested in that emotionally, and the golfers really feed off of that. You can tell they all enjoyed their time there. I mean, Keegan Bradley tweeted that it's one of his favorite events. A lot of people like to follow him because he's a New England guy. He's from Vermont. It's just it's a neat tournament, and to see people that locked in and the golfers that locked in, not just, cashing a paycheck. They actually seemed like they wanted to win that tournament as a nice, a nice chink in their armor there to get a victory. And for Spieth, I mean, now I think he's the third youngest guy with 10 tour wins, so it's obviously important for him as well to get that, to win that, because he'd been, he wasn't having the best season up until that point, and he can use that as a jumping off point, and maybe more golfers can follow that up and see if they can do it.
And Suppy, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do want to ask now and take a minute to look at the broad spectrum of golf here. With the win, Spieth is the second youngest, sandwiched in between Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods as the youngest player to reach 10 wins. He does it at 23 years and 11 months old. Where do you rank the first, up to age 24, where do you put Jordan Spieth? Do you consider him in that same stratosphere right now from what we saw out of a young Tiger? Keep in mind they both are sitting at this age, 10 wins and 2 majors to their name.
I would have to give young Tiger a slight advantage over Spieth, because we've seen Spieth, for lack of a better term, choke away a big tournament in the Masters the year after he won, I believe it was, where he had a chance to go back-to-back, which is quite a feat, and he wasn't able to do that. And I believe it was Danny Willett who, basically had the tournament handed to him there. But, I mean, Spieth, he seems to obviously have his head on his shoulders the right way, and he seems to, be very professional, belying his age. And, I mean, I don't see why he can't surpass Woods in terms of, being how young he is and how much he's won. He can definitely, go out and win the British Open and be right there for, maybe talking about him breaking all the records.
I agree. I think you're right that there was I think that Jordan Spieth has proven to be as elite and capable of being as successful as Tiger Woods was, Kevin. Now, there's an X factor that Mike mentioned where when Tiger was in the lead at a major, it was intimidating. People showed up and were afraid of playing against Tiger. You felt like that tournament was already lost, where he's now had an influence on this generation of golfers, and there is a great young crop of players, many of whom are elite and can show up and win a tournament, whereas the field felt a little less wide open back when Tiger was playing.
Right. I don't think we're ever going to see anyone like Tiger, and we got lucky to be able to watch him, growing up. And you're right. When Tiger had the lead in any tournament, it was intimidating. You almost knew he had it locked up. For Jordan Spieth, while I think he's going to be elite, I think his name is going to be up there with the Jack Nicklauses, with the Tiger Woods, and the Arnold Palmers. I think Spieth can be there, but Suppy's right. I think, you look back at some of these previous tournaments and he's thrown away a couple of them. You mentioned that Masters where he could have gone back-to-back. If he won that back-to-back, I think you're already talking about him maybe surpassing Tiger, but I think Jordan still has plenty of time, and you're right. A great head on his shoulders, acts so professional. He's only 23, but he's acting like he's almost above 30. I mean, the guy is, well beyond his age, and he's, again, a pleasure to watch, pleasure to, be around, and a guy who acts so professional in a great game.
And Mike, you look at the last 2 weeks of golf, you go from the U.S. Open at Erin Hills to the Travelers Championship here in Cromwell, and where do you see the state of golf being at right now? Because there are mumblings that maybe golf is down. It's looking for that dominant force. We've had 7 straight majors with a first-time champion. But I think the elite names have just sort of hit a rough patch here. Keep in mind, Tiger Woods, after winning that 97 Masters, didn't win a major again until 2000. So there have been gaps amongst his 14. In my opinion, Mike, I think golf is thriving right now and is at a great place with a great crop of elite players.
Oh, I agree. I mean, the level of player on the tour right now is probably the best it's ever been in terms of how these guys hit the ball. I mean, every guy is smashing drives 350 without breaking a sweat. And, it's when Tiger was, making a name for himself, there wasn't too many guys that were contending with him. It was, Phil Mickelson, Ernie Els, Vijay Singh. Those guys, while as great as they are and how they're faring still pretty well on the tour today, even as, guys are getting a little bit older, Tiger didn't have to deal with guys like Ricky Fowler and, Jason Day and Patrick Reed, guys who can roll out of bed and win a tournament, put together 4 great days of golf. There was just nobody, the level of competition just wasn't as deep. And I think these guys, it seems like it might be parity, but it's just, in my opinion, these guys are so good. It's a global game now. You see more of these guys from Europe, guys from South Africa, guys from New Zealand. More of these guys are coming over and playing in these tour events instead of staying on the European tour and things like that. And it's giving the level of competition is just astronomical. And I don't think you should mistake that with, parity and guys leveling off. I just think it's the caliber of player is so good that it's hard to separate yourself from the pack unless you're an extraordinary talent like a Spieth.
And I like what you said there, talking about the distance that comes with today's golfer, because the names you mentioned, Phil Mickelson, who has since those mid-2000s, late 2000s, added a lot of distance to his game, but it's his short game he's most known for. Ernie Els and Vijay Singh, when they go down, and they will be future Golf Hall of Famers, they are as consistent a golfer as there has ever been. When you think about the way they can show up to tournaments and continue to make cuts and keep themselves in contention. The lack of wins, though, now, and what makes this field so wide open is you are talking about guys, Jason Day, Henrik Stenson, John Rahm, Thomas Pieters, like that. They're going to walk on to a tee box. If it's a 330-yard hole, and look at what Justin Thomas did at Erin Hills in the U.S. Open, 330-yard hole, that's a 3-wood that they're going to be able to land on the green and stop short. It's a different age of golf, and you're right. It has completely broadened around the world now. It's such a global spectrum that it will be a lot tougher for a player to dominate the way Tiger Woods did. I think it's better for golf that you aren't going to necessarily have a quote-unquote dynasty or just one player completely dominating a whole era.
Oh, I agree. And I think when you look at some of these great golfers right now, Jordan Spieth, you look at Jason Day, you look at Dustin Johnson. I think right now golf is booming because you're attracting the young 18-year-old to 35-year-olds. This is where you're really hitting that right demographic. And I think right now you're starting to see a much younger crowd really, spend their weekend watching golf tournaments. I mean, you look at this past weekend, you had a lot of guys and, ladies as well, tuning in their, 18s to 35-year-olds. I think it's hitting the right demographic right now, and you're getting younger people following guys like Ricky Fowler on social media, and that too is really helping the game, I think, because you have some of these big names doing big things on social media, attracting the young crowd, and that's why I think golf is at a great place right now where it hasn't been before.
Suppy, I'll ask you one more question before we go to the break here. You have the opportunity. Would you go back to the Travelers again next year?
Oh, without a doubt. And it's funny you say, Kev, about bringing in the new demographics. I went up there with my wife was with myself, my friend, and his wife, and she went up. She's not really the biggest golf fan. I mean, she yelled at me when I had it on during football, during the Ryder Cup, and she was like, "Why are you watching this and not football?" I was like, "I want to see Patrick Reed." And she went up there and could not have had a better time. She was, super happy. She got to see Rory McIlroy, took a picture of it, the cardboard cutout next to him, and she was just loving it. And I mean, for somebody to be a fan, it's one of those things. If you go up there and experience, you might have a chance to make lifelong fans out of someone who would have been a non-fan to a casual fan there. And I would definitely go back. I mean, especially if they keep getting those big name players to come down. I mean, you'd be foolish not to, because it's a great experience.
If you're a sports fan.
Yeah, if you're a sports fan, I mean, you get to see world-class athletes, and that's something obviously everybody should be. If they're a sports fan, they'd want to see, whenever they can.
And I like how you said that, Suppy, because I think, when people think of golf, they think of, maybe their grandpa watching on TV and, thinking it's boring. I think you have to go to a golf event, go to a tournament. It's going to change your mind. But look out that Waste Management Open out in Phoenix and Scottsdale. I mean, that whole 16th hole is filled with college kids. So it's attracting the young crowd, and I think that's why golf is where it's at, and I don't think it's ever been where it is right now before, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger.
I mean, listen, the Travelers has been a great tournament. It's been great for Connecticut for a long time. It's in an awkward position on the calendar, so you haven't had those big names. It was great and did really well to put on display how good a job Connecticut does with this tournament, to have them around, and hopefully that success continues. Congratulations again to Jordan Spieth. He is your winner. 268 minus 12, his final score. We're going to step aside on Nutmeg Sports. When we get back, we've got some all-star teams that were named per Hearst Media. We'll break down the FCIAC players that made the roster, see what you think as well. It's coming up next on the HAN Network's Nutmeg Sports.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Registration is now open for our fitness training programs for high school athletes. The InSports Performance Center is offering blast speed classes, athletic functional movement assessments, and both men's and women's elite speed and strength training. Our premier programs help bring athletes to the next level. Call 203-268-1214 for more information. Like and follow us on Facebook.
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Baystar and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866. If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN Network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network, and we've also reached more than 2 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network. Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
We are back on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Frank Renito, Kevin Coleman. We have Joe Mixty and Mike Suppy in the back directing this afternoon. Hearst Connecticut Media, Kevin, recently released their boys basketball all-star roster from this season. Players from the FCIAC were named to it. Let's start here. First up, we had Alex Preston of Darien. I don't think there's any way to debate against Preston and what he accomplished this senior year, as well as his career with over 1,000 points and averaging 13.9s a game this season.
Well, I mean, first off, the 1,000-point, being a part of that club is something that Alex has to be so proud of. And, this is a player that they're going to miss next year, and he was so great down low. Just look at his size. Just a huge presence down low. Not only can he play defense and get some great block shots, but he can rebound too. He's so good on the boards. He can box out, great on the offensive end as well. He's quick. You look at that size, you think a guy like that can't get up and down the floor that fast. He's quick. And of course, we obviously know how good he was in volleyball as well, but a great basketball player and well-deserved.
Preston, the senior this season, led the state with 4.3 blocks per game, second with 13.8 rebounds. He was third in scoring at 20.1. He led Darien to the FCIAC quarterfinals and into the second round of the Double L tournament. All-state, he was the second-team player, the FCIAC player of the year, and he made first-team all-conference and first-team all-defensive team. Next up was Connor Harkins from Greenwich, averaging 23.2 points per game this season. Most known, Kevin, for the 251 career three-pointers. As pure shooters we've seen in Connecticut in quite some time, almost qualified for the national three-point contest. The senior Cardinal is going to be missed very much next year.
Oh, he's going to be missed, and I'm going to miss the way he shoots. He is so much fun to watch. You go to a basketball game, you want to see someone dominate from three, it's Connor Harkins, and he was so clutch too. You talk about guys coming up big when it matters most. You want to get the ball in someone's hands if you're the Greenwich Cardinals. You get Connor Harkins open, he's going to hit that three-pointer for you, and he was known to do that throughout his career at Greenwich High School. So again, Connor Harkins, well-deserving, and again, a lot of fun to watch. You talk about that stat, 251 career three-pointers. Very, very impressive.
Over 1,100 points in his career. Eric Day, Brian McMahon was also named. Day helped the Senators reach the FCIAC quarters and into the state tournament. First team all FCIAC, first team all defensive team. But I tell you what, as good as he was defensively, the play offensively almost went unnoticed at times because of some bad losses by the Senators. But Day went off for 42 in a game, 36 a couple of times. Eric, one of our favorite players to watch. Tough break. Thought he could have maybe done more for the Senators. Bad matchup in that first FCIAC game against Trumbull.
Not only our favorite player to watch, but favorite player to cover and interview as well. Great personality as well, Eric Day. A lot of fun to watch with the McMahon Senators. There were a lot of games where he just kind of took over. You talk about that 42-point game. I mean, he has the capability of taking games over and just, really, giving the other team a lot of trouble on their defensive part. So Eric Day, a great point guard, and yes, he's going to be missed next year because he was a great presence throughout his 4-year career with the Senators in boys basketball. So a great player, and again, he's going to be missed dearly next year.
2 juniors up next on the list, 2 of 5 juniors who were named to this team. Brendan McNamara of Ridgefield, Contavio Dutrail of Trinity Catholic. These are 2 players, Kev, that we're going to see again next year, potentially FCIAC championship preview game?
Ooh, I like the sound of that. I think Richfield has an opportunity to go back to that FCIAC championship game, but they don't win that championship without Brendan McNamara. Throughout that FCIAC tournament, he made some clutch shots. You also, that buzzer beater that Zach Essen player hit, he set a very important screen for Zach Essen player to get open. That goes unnoticed. So he does the dirty work as well behind the scenes, but as well, he can hit some 3-pointers, great at driving the lane. He's got the great size, can do it all. 5-tool player. And again, I think Brendan McNamara has a great opportunity to have an even better senior year with the Tigers.
Contavio Dutrail averaged a double-double this season, 17 points, 12 rebounds, had 4 blocks per game. They won the Class S tournament. Very disappointing for Trinity Catholic when you think about the early exit in the FCIAC tournament. They had the big lead against Wilton, but Trinity essentially brings back everyone off their roster. You lose Peter Gaglio at the point, which will hurt. He held this team together, but I think the extra year of experience now allows the rest of that roster to find a player and bring them along, where Gaglio really was the glue that kept a young group together moving forward.
Right, I think Gaglio is going to be missed, and a great talent as well. He can shoot. We saw him really display his shooting ability towards that later part of the year. But Contavio Dutrail, another guy who can take games over just by how powerful he is. He's got the speed. He can get through defenders. He can shoot as well. I think that's part of his game that he's going to work on a little more, is maybe that outside perimeter shooting a little bit. If he can add that to his arsenal, boy, he's going to be a dangerous player to watch. So next year, Trinity has a great opportunity here at state right now to go to the FCIAC championship game. They have some great returners coming back, including Contavio Dutrail.
You had J.J. Full of the Trumbull Eagles as a senior who made it. He was a co-captain as well. A great year for J.J. Matt Cronenberg of Wilton. That rounds out your FCIAC selections. You see Full on the screen there. He had 16 points, 6 boards, 2.5 assists, 2 steals per game. Was all FCIAC, second team All-State. Cronenberg, 13 points, 5.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 2 steals. Did it all for him. He was second team All-State, first team All-FCIAC. We saw Cronenberg with 32 in that championship game. A great matchup in the semis between Trumbull and Wilton. 2 seniors that well-deserving, but I'll ask you this now. If you had the choice, Cronenberg, Wood, Williams, Drew Conley. All right, you've got the 4 seniors of Wilton. Is Cronenberg the one you would have taken?
Yes, I think so. I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved watching Jack Williams. My guy, Drew Conley, he's my guy. But I think Cronenberg was that type of player that I think has the capability, again, another one of those players, and we saw it in the FCIAC championship game. He takes games over. He's able to get through defenders, draw, go to the line. That's where his best game is, going to the line, shooting free throws, and he can make any free throw. I mean, very clutch player. He can shoot from 3. Like I said, he can drive. I think it's a tough tie between Drew Conley and Matt Cronenberg, but I got to give the edge of Cronenberg. And as far as J.J. Full is concerned, an excellent player, and I think Trumbull is going to miss him next year because he had not only that great ability to play, but he had that leadership quality as well. You could just sense it even when he was off the floor. And I think, J.J. Full, a great career at Trumbull, is also going to play at Roger Williams. Got to give a shout out to the Coastal Commonwealth Conference, the CCC. So good luck to him with the Roger Williams over there. But I think J.J. Fall had a great career, and it's unfortunate we're not going to see those two back on the hardwood next year because they were a lot of fun to watch.
Mike, I want to ask you one question. Tremont Waters was the MVP according to Hearst Media. Is there any way to argue against that or deny that honor?
No, you got to give it to him. He was the best player on the court this year. They fell short in the tournament, but it's the body of work, and I got no quibble with him getting the Player of the Year.
Chris Watts was also Coach of the Year. I want to ask you this. Do you consider it all maybe looking at Joel Garriak of Wilton for potentially the Coach of the Year, the FCX Championship appearance, and a state semifinal appearance?
It's hard to say. I mean, Coach Watts came over from St. Joe's to a pretty strong Notre Dame Fairfield team already. And, Wilton is an up-and-coming team in the FCAC. Up until the last few years, they hadn't really made a lot of noise. But under Coach Garriak, they've started to make their presence felt. So, I wouldn't argue, against either one of them winning it. They're both worthy candidates. I think that easily could have gone either way.
It was a great year of basketball start to finish. We know we had an absolute blast with it. We're going to take one more break on Nutmeg Sports. When we get back, we got a couple of local stories we're keeping our eye on. We'll have plenty more right after the break.
You don't have to go far for authentic Neapolitan cuisine and renowned wood-fire pizza. Pizzeria Loretano of Bethel is a contemporary Italian bistro, specializing in authentic wood-fired brick oven pizza Napolitana. Pizzeria Loretano was named one of America's top 1,000 Italian restaurants in 2008 by Zagat, and recommended by Jane and Michael Stern on National Public Radio's Splendid Table. Located close to the Bethel Cinema, we focus on quality, and our food is always made to order. Join us for live jazz Sundays from 6 to 8. Find our schedule, menu, and more at pizzerialoretano.com, and like us on Facebook.
The new fishing season is fast approaching, so it's time to head over to the Dock Shop and get your gear in order. We're now offering bait in both Darien and our Westport location. The Dock Shop can service and repair your rods and reels, spool up new line, and fill any empty space you might have in your tackle box. Whether you're a fisherman, boater, or beach bum, the Dock Shop is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
Spring has sprung at Walter Stewart's Market, and we're celebrating the new season with fresh takes on spring. From the finest produce around to guaranteed fresh seafood delivered daily by the best local supplier. Not only are we your time-saving one-stop shop for everything you need this season, our personable team is always ready with a helping hand. Shop Stewart's for the best of spring. Find us at 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
I can't believe it.
Well, Dad, you did it. You sold 160 cars. Ready to go back upstairs now?
I think it's time. I wonder how the boys are making out in their new office.
Not what I had in mind, Kyle. What, Dad?
Maybe we should retire. Right now, lease a 2017 Rogue S for only $139 a month.
Isn't it time you got Millerized?
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
Back on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network, want to offer congratulations to Ridgefield rising senior Kieran Smith of the boys swim team, who has given a verbal commitment to attend the University of Florida. Smith announced the decision on his Instagram page wearing a Florida shirt in a photo writing, "Proud to call myself a future Gator." Smith is ranked by SwimSam magazine as the 8th best swimmer in its national list of the top 20 for the class of 2018. Outside of Whitley, the best all-around individual medley swimmer in the class, said the magazine. "I chose the University of Florida because it's the perfect fit for me," Smith told Swimming World magazine. "They have an excellent undergraduate program in kinesiology, which I exactly looking for. On the swimming side, Coach Troy and Coach Nesty do an excellent job of helping middle-distance swimmers and inter-medley swimmers like myself thrive." Florida's won 5 straight Southeast Conference championships, and for the 2nd year in a row finished 3rd at nationals. We talk a lot about Greenwich swimming when it comes to the FCI, Kevin, but it's awesome to see any of these young athletes fulfilling their careers at the D1 level. So big for the Tigers producing the national ranked swimmer.
Yeah, congratulations to Kieran, because this is an excellent swimmer, and I think Richfield next year is excited to have him back. But they're also very proud of his accomplishments and how he chose to go to University of Florida. And I think Florida and the SEC is one of the top swimming schools. You always see them around the top 3, top 5. Around best colleges for swimmers, so that's a big step for Kieran. I think he's going to do a great job at the University of Florida as a Gator, and it's exciting news. And I know the whole town is rallying around him and is excited to see how he does throughout his 4-year career coming up. But they're also excited for his senior year coming up with the Tigers.
That's right. And before all that, starting tomorrow, Smith and his Richfield Aquatic Club teammate AJ Bornstein will be competing in the USA Swimming Phillips 66 Nationals and World Championship Trials. Those will take place from the 27th of June through July 1st at Indiana University's Natatorium in Indianapolis. We also want to wish good luck to the Eclipse Travel Lacrosse Club's U13 team, which will be heading off to Denver the end of this week to compete in the World Series of Lacrosse Championships this year. We'll have more on that story down the stretch of this week. Those games will also be featured on ESPN3 with the championship game on ESPN. Kev, we've got plenty more to come up this week, and we're very excited. Next week, we're going to be back at New Canaan for the Grip It and Rip It passing tournament. We'll have coverage on Friday afternoon, some interviews, and then the tournament playoffs on Saturday. So will be a lot of fun. I know that John Kovacs, the Yankee fisherman, cannot wait to get around a football field again.
Neither can I. I think all of us are really excited to finally get that taste of football back, because it's been a while for us, and we're excited to see these young guys come back out on Dunning Field, which we love going to, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to get us getting ready for that fall season, that fall football season. That's quickly, if you think about it, it's coming quicker than you think.
The fall sports tour is not far away either, so we're excited to see all the FCI captains. But till then, we'll settle for Grip It and Rip It next week. For Mike Sabi, Joe Mixie, Kevin Coleman, I'm Frank Renito. We'll see you tomorrow on Nutmeg Sports.